Money Talks.
Money Talk.
Money Talks. Money Talks.
Hi, my name is Ibukun Oyedeji, President CFA Society Nigeria. Join me and a host of other financial industry practitioners for Money Talks with CFA Society Nigeria.
Money Talks.
Money Talk.
Money Talks. Money Talks. Money Talks with CFA Society Nigeria. Let's talk about money. Hello everyone and welcome to Money Talks. Money Talks is brought to you by CFA Society Nigeria and is a financial literacy program. Smart Uzechi is my name. You can call me Captain Smart and you will be financially correct. This evening, my guest on the program is Sulaimon Ishola, CFA. Sulaiman works in the financial advisory practice of one of the big four firms in Nigeria and is a senior manager there, where he leads the valuation and modeling team within financial advisory. He started his career at Don Lauren Merrifield Advisory Partners, where he participated in debt and equity capital raising exercise, M&A transaction advisory, and corporate finance engagements across diverse industries. He has advised several PE firms, conglomerates, strategic and financial investors on diverse transactions. His experience includes financial modeling, due diligence advisory, business valuations, and M&A buy and sell side advisory services, among others. Sulaiman holds a bachelor's degree in accounting from the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. He graduated with a first-class honors. He's an associate member of ICANN, that's the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, where he received several prizes and awards. And of course, he is a CFA charter holder. So let's make welcome Sulaimon Ishola to the program this evening. We need to give him a round of applause because it's not easy to make a first class and to have received so many prizes from ICANN as well. That exam will bash people here and there. And of course, he also is a CFA charter holder, so he deserves an applause. So Sulaimon Ishola, welcome to Money Talks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Captain Smart. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, and this evening we're going to be talking about navigating financial storms. Yeah, I hope that one resonates with you. Navigating financial storms, how to protect your wallet in tough times. Everybody knows that we're in tough times, and so you need to know how you can navigate these financial storms that we're inside right now, how you can protect that small money that you have, and of course even make more money so you can survive in these tough times. The number to call us, 0700 923 923 923. That is 0700 923 923 923. You can also send messages to us on WhatsApp, 0817 313 6193. That's 0817 313 6193. That's how to get in touch. You can also follow CFA Society Nigeria on social media, on all the platforms. You can go there at CFA Society NG, follow them on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, everywhere on social media, they are there. Or go to the website, www.cfasocietyng.org, and get involved with the conversation online. Okay, Sulaiman, it's so good to have you here. I'm glad to be sharing the studio with those who call in local parlance, EFICO.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you. So, Sulaiman, let's get down to the conversation.
Yep.
I want you to tell us, times are tough, money is very scarce to come by, things have become very expensive. The things you would have bought with maybe 1,000 naira before, now they have gone up to as much as 5,000 naira. I want you to advise the listener, what are some common financial challenges people face during tough times like the ones we are in now, and how can someone prepare their finances during an economic downturn like the one we're inside now?
Yeah, Thank you. I'll first like to start by saying it's an interesting time we're in.
Yes.
It's really interesting. I mean, we're all facing the challenges, and I think it's touching some people much more than it's touching the others. In terms of the challenges, to be specific, you will realize that some people have perhaps lost their jobs.
Yeah.
People are under a lot of stress because they've taken some loans they've not been able to repay. There is a lot of unexpected expenses people are having to cater for because prices of things have gone up. There are losses that people are also experiencing in terms of where they've put money. They are unable to realize or recover their investments. So, I mean, it's usually a lot. When you are in this kind of crisis, you struggle with finances, you struggle with spending, you struggle with savings. However, there are different things that you need to do when you're in these circumstances. And it's simple. If you look at the things that we spend money on, the basic human needs, there are three. Food, clothing, and shelter, right? What you need to do is you need to ensure that you create a budget to ensure that you spend money on things that you really need. And I say need, not want. Spend money on what you indeed need, right? You should also consider building what we call an emergency fund. Emergency fund, we should perhaps be able to last for about 6 months, because this kind of crisis comes with potential job losses. So rather than you running around when you lose a job, start preparing for that possibility and start saving what we call emergency fund, right? Try to diversify income. This is a time when you need to build up in different skills, get that skills that you potentially do not currently have, that will enable you to earn income that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to earn. There are some idle assets. There are some assets that you have in your house, things that you currently don't use. Consider using them to earn some return or put them to use. Perhaps you have 2-3 cars. Those cars can be converted into taxi. Give it to someone, let it earn return for you. This is not a time to have idle assets. This is not a time to keep money in the bank without any use. This is a time to rather invest. So, in a nutshell, I would say create a budget and stick to it. Have an emergency fund. Diversify your income. Use idle assets, put them to use, earn return from it. And lastly, as much as possible, especially when you are making investment decision, seek advice from people that are knowledgeable.
Oh, wow. That's quite insightful right there. So, you accountants say that if you cannot improve on your income, if you cannot increase your income, you should cut down on your expenses,
Right.
especially in times like this. I want you to walk us through those key areas of spending that people should focus on in times like this, or the things they should cut back on during tough times.
Yeah, thank you. Remember, I said earlier that the three main things we spend money on, they are basic human needs. You can't eliminate them. What you need to do is rather to manage them. And I will
You have
start
to
from
eat. Yeah.
So if I pick from the first one, your food cost, for
Yes.
instance, this is not a time to take outs every time. This is not a time to buy heavy now and then. This is a time to do bulk purchase. This is a time to take advantage of volume discounts. If you know when you buy in bulk, you can get some discounts. This is a time to order from do bulk sharing. I'm sure people know about all of these bulk purchases and bulk sharing. So you need to really cut down on all of those excesses, even as much as food, right? This is a time to save on shelter, right? Perhaps you've been living in very expensive area of Lagos, in Lekki. This is a time to review whether you can still afford to live in those areas.
Move to the mainland.
Yeah, exactly. So, that talks about shelter, for instance. It's important we have a roof over us, but you need to also consider going to lower costs places, right? for transportation, right? People will say, look, when you move to places that are cheaper, you incur that amount on transportation. Then you now realize that you can save a lot on transport if you then do carpooling, right? This is not the time to put your car on the road and then you're moving around the ride. If possible, consider using carpooling, consider using public transport. I mean, I think Lagos State is doing well with building efficient means of transportation. Take advantage of those means. Use the train if you can, right? This is the time you need to really curtail on your personal care cost. I mean, if you put some people together now, you realize that personal care is taking a lot of their cost. If you can't eliminate it, then you can cut down on it. You can do bulk purchase to take advantage of discounts. Then lastly, I would say you can control your clothing cost. I mean, you do a lot of Ashwebi purchase during the month. If possible, you can really prioritize in terms of the one you must get. So it's an interesting time. I think we need to ensure that we manage those costs. I mean, you see, energy takes a lot of our costs, right? I mean, there is now band A, there is band B, there is all of these, which increases your electricity bill, right? But you have your lights on 24/7, right? You have some things that you can easily try to manage. So it's really the time to sit back and see where are the excesses going and how can I really cut down on these excesses. Yeah.
In case you're tuning in now, you are on to Money Talks. Money Talks is brought to you by CFA Society Nigeria, and it's a financial literacy program. Sulaimon Ishola is my guest on the program this evening, and we're talking about navigating financial storms, how to protect your wallet in tough times. Let's go to the phone lines for a caller there. Hello, good evening to you.
Good evening, Captain Smart and Mr. Sulaiman. How are you doing?
We're doing well, thank you. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Ndidi.
All right.
Okay, I've been listening to Mr. Sulaiman and he's been on point on what he's been saying. He mentioned investment as one of the solutions to this kind of crisis. So I would like him to tell us the kind of investment that one can go into and that person wouldn't get the hands burned and what the person should look at for while doing that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Ndidi. It looks like she even pried into the script here. Because the next question I was going to ask you, because you mentioned emergency fund when you were talking the other time, is to ask you how important is emergency fund and how can someone start building such an emergency fund? But you have to hold on. We'll have another caller. Hello, good evening to you.
Hello, Captain Smart. Good evening, sir.
Thank you so much for calling. Tell us your name and where you're calling from. James.
Sulaiman, good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. Yeah, so my own concern is you talked about emergency funding, and you set aside emergency fund for at least that can take care of 6 months if I get you correctly, sir.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Currently in Nigeria now, is every day not an emergency? Because even what you don't plan for, as the price of things are going up every day, then it seems that every day is an emergency for somebody, because you keep money that you want to use. That you're saying for 6 months, and you go to the market the following day, the price of something has gone up, and you just have to get this thing because it's an essential good. So number one, how do we manage when it comes to emergency funding? And then number two, you're talking about, if I get you correctly as well too, this issue of cutting down on cost. How about those who get money, like the money doesn't come monthly, they get it every day, the money comes and they must buy things every day need. How do they navigate that kind of situation?
All right. Thank you very much. So I think we can take those two in addition to this question of how important having an emergency fund is and how someone can start building one of those emergency funds.
Yeah, thank you. If I start from the question from the last caller, I think if you look at it carefully, it's an interesting time that we are in. Maybe not the ideal, not the best. However, if you are able to save, then I would advise that you really have an emergency fund. So far, you are able to save. And there is a popular quote that poverty is not when you don't have money. Poverty is not when you are not able to eat. Poverty is indeed starts when your income is equal to your expenses.
Wow.
So no matter what you earn, try to save a portion of it. So if you go out daily, you make your income, you need to spend. Even if you make it 2,000 naira, if possible, try to save 100 naira. That 100 naira can really be your savings in the future. Can be what will save you from issues. Can be the money you need to get drug when you fall sick, right? So it's always important to save, no matter what you earn, save. Then when you have emergency fund, it comes with a lot of benefits. The simple one and the first one is peace of mind. When you know that if anything happens to my job, I have something to fall back on while I'm looking for and searching for another job. So that's a benefit that you can't really quantify, right? When you have emergency fund, it allows you to avoid debts. When you then lose that job or when you're unable to make as much as you used to, you don't have to run around to borrow. Because when you borrow, remember, borrowing is really expensive because you then need to pay interest on it and all of that, right? When you do this, it brings in some flexibility because you are then not forced to take a job that you otherwise wouldn't take, right? So, and building emergency fund, it's not difficult. It really starts from setting a goal. What are you trying to achieve? For some people, the emergency fund can be, say, 1 million naira. For some, it's 100,000 naira. So set that goal. When you set the goal, then open a separate account for it. What I tell people when I'm advising people is, don't have an ATM, don't have a debit card.
For emergency fund.
Yeah, just have an account open somewhere and you keep spending or sending some amount into it. At the point when you need it, then you can walk into a bank. When you know you cannot easily withdraw it, then you can't access it, right? Automate your savings. In this digital era, it's easy to save money. You don't even need to consciously transfer money in your banking app. You can set a standing order to say every month transfer X amount into this account, right? So when you do it, it makes it easy. Then cut unnecessary expenses. There are some expenses that if you don't incur it, you won't die, right? So try to cut it down. Then use your windfall accurately. When they pay you that bonus, when you get that gift from a family friend or from your big sister or your big uncle or from your employer, don't spend it anyhow. Add it to your emergency fund. Then when you achieve your goal, I always tell people, celebrate the milestone. Absolutely. When you celebrate the milestone, it encourages you to want to do more because you know there is something to look forward to. All
right. And you can join us on the telephone in case you're listening there. You have questions to ask Mr. Sulaiman in the studio here. We're discussing navigating financial storms, how to protect your wallet in tough times. And he has said, and I agree with him, we're in tough times right now. 0700 923 923 923. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for calling. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Okay, thank you. My name is Ivy, calling from Bagada. Thank you so much. I'm really enjoying this program. It's so helpful. Now, one of the things that we talked about is to try to invest, to help us grow our economy. Can you just give us some red flags that you can spot when you want to make some investments so that you don't lose your money?
All right. Red flag to look out for when you're looking to invest so you don't lose your money. 0700 923 923 923. That's the number to call. Or you can send us a message on WhatsApp 0817 313 6193. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, Captain, I'm calling back again because this is really concerning.
30 seconds, please.
Yes. Mr. Sulaiman, you said something that when your income is equal to your expenses, and that's how you find poverty. Now, I don't know if I'm just on the expenses. So someone told me yesterday too. When you are spending more than you are getting, with the salary you are getting is too small. But you find that you just have to buy things at home. You are spending more, and then you want to incur debts in that kind of situation. Like for me now, I have shares that I bought in some banks and money that I kept somewhere. So I don't know if that is emergency funds. But I found out that I keep incurring debts because money is not coming inside and then I'm spending more. That means later on I will not use those money that I kept for shares to pay back the debt. So I think that's the reality of the time. I don't know if you understand where I'm coming from, sir.
All right, James, thank you very much. And then I think you should add those questions to this next question now, which is to say, are there safe investment options during uncertain economic times? Like the IB asked the question, how do we, recognize red flags? Because money is hard to come by. This my little money that I have. How do I know where not to put it? So that I don't get to that office tomorrow and they say we have moved.
Thank you very much for that question, Captain Smart. So, in terms of the areas or the safe investments options available, there are numerous. There are a lot of them. To not overcomplicate things, I will say invest in an institution. So, and when I say institution, don't invest in individuals that you don't know, that you can't locate, that they are new. When you invest in institutions, because they have a brand to protect, they have a name to protect, it's difficult for anything to happen. But irrespective, the safest investment to make is when you invest in government bonds. So government bonds are seen to be risk-free. They are very safe. The worst that could happen to a country is to print if it's in their local currency, right? Even though it's not encouraged, but invest in corporate bonds. Invest in real estate investment trusts, because they have real estate that backs them, right? Invest in mutual funds. If you are afraid, you don't know which government bonds to buy, or you are averse as to the risk in each of them, then can invest in an asset that brings different kind of bonds together, right? So these are all safe investment vehicles that one can invest. In terms of what are the red flags, I think I've been able to address that. Just ensure that you are investing in institutions, right? And especially if you're investing for a long term, long term can be 5 years, 10 years. Institution will still be there, right? Unlike if you invest in an individual. So that's what. Then to answer your question, the last caller, if you are spending more than you earn, is an issue. We know we're in a difficult situation in the country. But one thing that will differentiate you is your ability to adjust. You must adjust to your reality. So. Okay,
I have two more questions to ask you quickly, and I appreciate if you can answer two of them in 3 minutes. The first one is, let's talk about budgeting now. What role do you think that budgeting, plays in staying financially secure during financial storms like we have them now? Just very quickly.
Quite a number of them. Budgeting, when you have a budget and you stick to it, it's really it enhances financial discipline. It makes you to know this is what you are spending on, this is when you are spending it. It allows you to track your goal. For instance, I'm planning to, say, buy a car. You are doing this to achieve that goal, right? It enables you to reduce stress. So because when or how much you are earning and what you are spending them on, overall you'll be able to reduce and then it helps you to know clarity on your income and expenses. When you have a budget, for instance, if you look at Nigeria as a country, at the beginning of a year, you will see government saying this is how much we plan to make and this is where we are spending them on. If as an individual you can also do that, it allows you to have clarity on the nature of your income and the nature of your expenses.
And this investment we're talking about, there are a lot of investment firms springing up here and there. But I've heard you say that invest in government bonds, they are the safest. But how can someone actually protect their long-term financial goals while they're dealing with the short-term challenges that we have around now?
So it's really around asset allocation, and understanding your risk appetite and your liquidity requirements. If you know you don't have the ability to take a lot of risk, you will not invest in assets that are risky. For instance, you are getting old. You don't have the ability to return back to work. If you lose that money, then you won't invest in assets that are very risky. If you know that you need money in, say, a year to pay your children's school fees, you won't invest in an asset that will only pay you in 10 years' time. So, telling your advisor when you need money and how much money you need will really help you to know the kind of assets to invest in. Yeah.
Okay, Ndidi is insisting that you have not answered her question. She says the type of safe investment and associated risk to look out for. He has answered. He was talking about government bonds. Maybe you can go over it again.
So indeed, to answer your question, the safest investment is really, and we call it risk-free investment, is government bonds, government securities. Then the risk involved, it's really the risk of that country collapsing if you invest in the risk of a country whose default rate is high, right? But at the moment, the risk rating of the country is still okay, as far as we're concerned for Nigeria. So it's still a good investment, right? Yeah.
I hope you're satisfied now. I hope you have answered the question. Okay, Sulaiman, before we let you go, some persons are saying, oh, how can we save money when we don't even have enough? Some people are saying that, is it not when I've eaten? Maybe when I chop, I can't find one where I go save. Let's just be going anywhere belly face. Tomorrow will take care of itself. And really now, the inflation has eroded people's purchasing power. That much money will just be able to afford you very few goods. So how do people mitigate that difference, between the value money used to have and the value it actually has today?
Unfortunately, we are all in the macro environment. So while there might not be specific ways to eliminate that risk, because it's a risk we all live in, what I would say is we should all try to diversify our income. So if possible, take on that remote jobs that can pay you in foreign currency. Since everything locally is linked to foreign currency, if you're able to earn in foreign currency, so you've been able to protect yourself. And then learn that skills, build that skills. If there's a skill that you think is in demand, put yourself in the position to earn or to make money from that skill by building the skill.
All right, thank you very much, Sulaimon Ishola, CFA, and he is a financial advisory practitioner. He's working in one of Nigeria's big four firms right here, and we have been talking this evening about navigating financial storms, how to protect your wallet in tough times. Sulaimon Ishola, thank you so much for coming to the program this evening. It's been a very wonderful education you've given us, and we must thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Captain Smart. Thank you for having me.
We expect to have you anytime so soon. One thing we've picked out here is poverty comes when your income is equal to your expenditure. So watch out for that. Thank you for listening. We'll see you again next time. Till that time, have a good evening. I am Captain Smart. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Money Talks, hosted by the CFA Society Nigeria. Stay connected with us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube at CFA Society Nigeria. Follow us for more financial insight and updates. Keep a date with us next time.